Hello, everybody. Olivia Reiner here for Packers News, joined by Jim Ozarski. And you'll notice we are yet again in the visitors' locker room. We are wimps. I will admit it. It's okay. Nathaniel Hackett called the weather today beautiful. That is the word that he used. I don't understand that. He came from Jacksonville. I know he spent some time up in Syracuse, so he knows what the cold is like. He's experienced it. He's from California. He worked in Jacksonville, and he comes to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and gets to experience this at the beginning of November.
Yeah.
And he called it beautiful.
Well, he said because the sun was out.
Yeah.
Which is true.
It's true, but does it make it a beautiful day?
Yeah, I guess so.
The bar is low.
Yeah.
This time of year.
When it's 30 degrees.
Tom Silverstein on our live stream yesterday said it is not yet winter. I know the calendar tells us that it's not yet winter. I get that.
Oh, it's winter now. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's 30 degrees.
Yeah.
That's winter.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Packers practiced yet again today outside. Got a little bit of the cold weather reps under the belt before they play Carolina on Sunday when, again, it's sure to be cold. I don't think it's snowing on Sunday. I think it might snow. There's snow in the forecast on Saturday. So perhaps we'll see a fresh layer of powder on the ground ahead of the game on Sunday.
Yeah. No, it'll be, they've been running that frozen tundra hype video, since August. So I guess, they finally get to use that in the proper element, I guess.
Finally, yes, it'll all make sense. We were all so confused. There's too much green, too much warm, and now we get to enjoy the freezing cold. So anyway, as per usual, we will start by taking a look at the injury report before I head on over to Facebook to answer some of your questions. Hello from Facebook. Hello over on Periscope. Hello, YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated it. Much appreciated. Little words. Okay, so let's take a look at changes from yesterday's injury report. So Jimmy Graham was a veteran rest guy. So was Tramon Williams. They both went to limited participation today. So that's kind of nothing there. Mercedes Lewis participated yesterday. He was a full participant yesterday. He was unlisted, and he was did not participate today. Veteran rest. So there's your big changes. Kevin King was limited with a groin injury yesterday. He was full participation. So the changes are not all that jarring. What I would argue the most jarring thing about the injury status of the team right now is the fact that Adrian Amos missed back-to-back practices yesterday and today with a hamstring injury. So going into the game, again, we've seen all sorts of stuff from Matt LaFleur when it comes to these guys with injuries. Some guys won't play all week, and then they'll play on Sunday. They'll be injured, they'll be limited. We've just seen such a different – it just depends on the guy. What are you thinking when it comes to Adrian Amos? If he doesn't practice tomorrow on Friday, how concerned are the Packers about his status on Sunday?
Yeah, I think he's the one guy who seems to be trending toward inactivity on Sunday, Olivia. No, you're right. I mean, especially for these veteran guys, if they can prove they can practice to a degree on Friday, that's good enough. But you're talking about, he suffered a hamstring injury in the 80-degree weather of Los Angeles, and then you're coming to 30-degree weather in Green Bay with a bye week. It just seemed, Ibraheim Campbell comes off PUP, so that safety room did get a veteran back. It just lines up for you give, your $9 million safety, the week to, and then going into the bye week where then you're going to head west to San Francisco. So that's just my feeling on it. But of course, if he can practice tomorrow, then maybe he. That changes things.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. So, hello over on Facebook. Hi, everybody. We've got someone in here. Frank is from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Hello.
Beautiful place Vancouver is. I've been there.
I have not.
Just saying, it's a beautiful place, even when it was rainy. It was rainy the entire week that I was there.
That sounds about right. Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. John wants to talk about Zadarius Smith's marijuana citation / traffic violation. I mean, he pled not guilty. He hired a lawyer. I believe was the hearing yesterday.
I think it's been. I don't recall
his
exactly.
Court appearance was yesterday.
I thought it had been moved back. whatever. Honestly, I'm not a. Is it ideal? No, you don't want. If you're in a professional organization, you don't want your players speeding, which allows them to get pulled over, which allows search of the car if they're can smell some things. So no, not ideal. I know the main question most would have is there going to be a suspension? Usually for stuff like this, the league is pretty slow-footed. Think Aaron Jones, think Geronimo Allison, very similar, speeding tickets, small possessions, ordinances, and or small citations. I guess there could be a game suspension. My thought would be it would be next year, but if they expedite the process and feel it can be sort of expunged, I mean, the league has kind of lightened up a little bit on some of this type of stuff, and there were no other problems. So, other than the poor judgment of speeding in a work zone that allowed him to get pulled over, Olivia, whatever. It's not like it could be worse, but I just think it's one of those where I don't really know how serious it is.
Mm-hmm. Serious in terms of the implications of the league,
of playing football, which at the end of the day, I'm sure that's what you want to know, and that's what the Packers care about. And after that, I can't speak to how it'll play out legally. I mean, I think the officer said this is just a ticket. So,
all right, something to keep an eye on. But curious to see if that ends up being a sooner than expected.
That would be the only thing.
Yeah,
is if it's somehow is adjudicated on a much more on a quicker basis than these usually are.
Mm-hmm. John asks a question that I don't know if the Packers have the answer to right now. I'm sure Mike Pettin would love an answer. So, Jim, if you have the answer, you might want to give it to Mike Pettin. But John wants to know, how do the Packers stop the Christian McCaffrey Express? It's a train. And that's a great question. And Mike Pettin spoke to the media today. He was asked about it. Do you go with 2 inside linebackers? Do you go with that hybrid safety in there? Is it more beneficial to have the inside linebacker to help stuff the run a little bit more? Just based off of the personnel that they have right now, who do you think would be good to have out there when they're trying to stop Christian McCaffrey on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know if they have that answer. They haven't really had good luck in stopping any running back to this point. They've played some good ones. Josh Jacobs might win Rookie of the Year. Ezekiel Elliott, they took out of the game because they were up 31-3 through 3 quarters. So maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the answer, is flip it on the offense, score like 30 points as fast as you can. But even then, I think, this whole Carolina offense is centered around that guy. So I don't know if there's a way to stop him. I think what Green Bay will want to do is go back to Kansas City, Olivia, where the emphasis, look, are you going to stop Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman and Sammy Watkins and all that speed? Probably not. But what you don't want is 80 yards and a touchdown. You don't want 60 yards and a touchdown. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's a perfect answer for that, because honestly, the guy's an MVP conversation for a reason, because no one's really been able to figure that out yet.
Yes, and what the Packers have been doing as of late has been giving up some yards. Then when it comes time to be in the red zone, they're able to stop the offense for the most part. And it's just a matter of, can the Packers play complementary football when the defense is able to stop them and cut that 6 or 7 points down to 3 points? Can the offense get out there and put 6 or 7 points on the board? And last week, no. The answer was no. Yeah,
I do think in an instance like this, and I think it was the same in Kansas City to a degree, and they did get out to the 14-point lead before the offense went to sleep, and then the defense also had its issues. I think the Packers could use another early drive, early quarter success offensively to help dictate. Because look, if you can make them one-dimensional, where Christian McCaffrey is now more of a receiver than a runner, maybe you have a little more luck, because you can play coverage chase and tackle as opposed to, how do we fit up these runs, and then he can break outside and create issues there.
Mm-hmm. We've got Todd saying that the Packers should load the box, make the rookie quarterback throw. I wonder what Ibraheim Campbell can do when it comes to helping out in the defense on Sunday. I'm curious to know what you think about how much he will be contributing on defense in the first place in his first game back, whether it's just going to be mostly special teams focused, but can he bring something to, if Mike Pettin does decide to use him more in that hybrid spot, what can he present there?
Right. I know he said he's moving pretty well. He feels he's pretty fast coming off that ACL. I'm sure there's some football conditioning to take into account, especially if it's cold. Can he play an entire game? Probably not. But yeah, in terms of loading the box, I mean, sounds easy to say. However, Christian McCaffrey is also their leading receiver. So if you want to go heavy and have B.J. Goodson in the game, or some combination of linebackers where Oren Burks is also in there, or so you're a Kiki, a Kenny Clark, and a Montravius Adams, and you're going that route. Who's covering that guy then? Who's covering Greg Olsen? So I don't think this defense can just do that. And actually, I mean, we asked Mike Pettin that exact question earlier, and he kind of said that's kind of an oversimplification of the defense. So I don't know about that in terms of Campbell. I mean, look, if Amos can't play, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of him. Mm-hmm. Now, what can he do? I don't know. I mean, he's a good player. He can tackle. So, I mean, they need
tackling's big.
Yeah, they need that. And if there was one thing he did well in 3 games last year was bring people down.
So we talked about this yesterday, but it's still a very important topic. Do you think the Packers will get Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams going in the run and pass game? And what would you like to see the offensive focus be on Sunday? This is a question from John. I think they will tell you that the focus is establishing the run game so they can build off of it and establish the pass game as well. And Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are big parts of that because they can do both, and they are dual threat running backs. They have that ability to create some confusion out there, and they can do run plays out of the backfield and whatnot, do all the whatever fancy stuff that they like to do. But yeah, getting those guys going and creating some of that confusion and misdirection early on in the game is going to be big because it wasn't something they were able to do against LA.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers mentioned that Wednesday where he clarified it by saying it wasn't necessarily handoffs as opposed to touches for these guys, and I would agree. Now, I would say they need to hand it off more than just the 10 times they did in LA. I mean, pretty much since Detroit, Olivia, they've gradually seen the number of traditional handoffs diminish. And that hadn't really come back to bite them because in Kansas City, the running backs caught the ball a whole bunch. In Oakland, I think they also caught the ball enough, right? And I think it just kind of came back to bite them against Los Angeles because you didn't have the run game, you didn't have the play action to build off that. Los Angeles did a good job of sort of taking Aaron Jones out of the receiving game plan. To that point, yes, they do need. To me, they need to hand it off more. But yeah, I think this offense, those guys are the engine. Aaron Rodgers is still driving the car, but those two guys need to be the ones moving the offense.
Yeah, Tom yesterday in our live stream went as far to say that the Packers need to consider handing it off even on 2nd and 10, for example. Like get that going, cut that distance down, and you've got a 3rd and manageable situation, which they have not had very many of those situations.
No.
At least not last week. So Johnny says that Aaron Rodgers needs to spread the ball around. Don't be too dependent on Davante Adams. The Packers did fine without him. And I would argue that they weren't too dependent on Davante Adams last week, but they weren't really dependent on anybody. And I think they had a number of receivers, but they did not have enough involvement, again, from Aaron Jones, a guy that they've had involved in the game a lot with Davante Adams out. He was pretty quiet. They weren't able to get him involved. I'd say that's probably the number one guy that really needs to get back in there on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers targeted 8 different guys. I mean, that's what it's been the last few weeks, as many as 9, depending if they throw to Mercedes Lewis. Here's the difference. It wasn't a dependence on Davante Adams, quite honestly. It was just Adams comes back. He's the best receiver. So instead of Jake Kumaro getting 5 targets, Allen Lazard getting 4, Marquez Valdes-Scantling getting 4, it goes from 3 to 2 to 2, and Adams gets the other ones because he's the best option. So that's where the difference comes. It's not spreading the ball around. I mean, they are spreading the ball around. It's just now those guys, like Jake Kumaro, has to catch that deep ball, right? Aaron Rodgers has to get the ball to Marquez Valdes-Scantling to the sideline when he's open. I mean, so that's the difference when Adams is back. Are their opportunities are fewer, so the margin for error is slimmer. But I'm not going to sit here and say don't throw Davante Adams' ball to give it to Allen Lazard just because.
Sure.
Like, that's not – I don't think that's winning football either.
Get it to the open guy, and if the open guy is Davante Adams, get it to Davante Adams.
And I think – exactly. And I think what these previous 4 weeks had shown is he can throw to those other guys, which he did against L.A. The difference was they either couldn't catch it or, you know, the one case for Valdes-Scantling, I mean, the throw didn't get there.
Mm-hmm. So if you're just joining us, I guess we didn't really give an update on the Adrian Amos injury because we don't have one. Richie asks if there is an update.
It's a hamstring.
It's a hamstring, but we're assuming that it was sustained in the game. To my recollection, Amos didn't come out of the game. We didn't he didn't leave and not come back.
He didn't. I talked to him after the game in Los Angeles, and he didn't walk out with a wrap on his leg or anything. So it's probably something that he probably felt it, finished the game, and then you come back for treatments on Monday, Tuesday, and it's just he wasn't ready to go Wednesday.
Yep. Let's see. Johnny wants to know if Darnell Savage Jr. is at full speed ever since coming back from a high ankle sprain. Did you notice that he looked decent out there, moving around quickly?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think his first game back, there were some tackling issues. Maybe some anticipation, slowness, if you will, because he was starting week 1 in Chicago, Olivia, he was so on point with his reads. I mean, he had nearly had a handful of interceptions. So maybe we haven't seen that just yet or that come back totally. But in terms of actually moving around, he seems okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's looking fast. I wouldn't say that the speed is the issue.
Yeah, it might just be
getting back to football.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, he needs to, before the injury in Dallas, to me, he was making more of an impact than many other defensive rookies. I know, the Bosa kid in San Francisco has some sacks, but I thought Savage Jr. was playing so well. We haven't really seen him around the ball in that way. He's been asked to cover Travis Kelce in Kansas City. Some of it went well for him, some of it did not. And I imagine, he'll draw a similar responsibility with Greg Olsen this week.
Mm-hmm. Gerardo wants to know, is Davante Adams' toe still an issue? I guess it depends what you define as an issue.
Right.
I think he still feels it and he's still conscious of it, and it's going to take a long time for it to ever feel 100%.
Right.
However, he's healthy, and the doctors wouldn't have cleared him to play.
Right.
If he wasn't healthy, he would not have said, I'm ready to play, if he didn't feel like he was. So I'm sure he's conscious of it. However, I don't think it's inhibiting him on the field.
Yeah, no, he's that whole time he was out, Olivia, he was one of the few players who made himself available to speak when he was hurt. Most guys choose not to. And he was willing to talk about it specifically, which again most players choose not to. And in that 4-week period, he made it very clear he is not playing unless he felt he could do all the things he's supposed to do without risk of re-injury because of that. I mean, obviously there's a 100% injury rate. There's some freak stuff that can happen. So that said, yes, he feels it, but he doesn't feel it's going to prevent him from doing anything. So we'll see. We'll see if playing in the cold, slick surface, you wonder if they got that cleat situation worked out. Last time we saw these guys at Lambeau Field, Olivia, they're falling all over the place. So if it is a little powdery with the snow or whatever, if that might cause an issue, that might be something to watch for.
Yeah, well, at the very least, it's going to be cold and slick. So, again, we'll see if they're able to figure out whatever situation was going on with the slipping on the field. So, yeah. All right, Jim. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here, guys. Thank you for all your lovely questions. Jim, any final words? Thank you for being a wonderful guest, as always.
Yeah, no, I'm, we got plenty of candy.
Yeah. We're all hopped up on M&Ms right now.
Yeah.
We're still getting through the Halloween candy.
Yeah. I think everyone likes to see us in the locker room as opposed to freezing.
We like being nice and warm. Although, big news, guys, if you are a viewer of the pre- and post-game live streams on game days, traditionally we've only been on the field after the game, but PackersNews.com has been credentialed to be on the field before the game. I know this is big breaking news. No one knows this besides us right now, so I'm sharing this with you guys for the very first time. It's a big deal, and you know how we got the leverage? The crazy guy that came up behind us in Kansas City and would not leave for 5 minutes during the live stream.
Yeah.
So, not thank you to him, but I'm happy that it came to this. It shouldn't have had to come to this for us to be able to get field access.
We got to be safe.
Yes, it was.
To make sure
helpful.
you and Pete are well protected.
And it's coming at kind of a tough time because it is going to be cold. Yeah. So we're going to be cold out there. We'll do our best. Hopefully, we bring the energy for you guys before the game. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, it all works out well. You can hear us well. I'm sure it'll be pretty noisy, noisier than usual. But we'll get to be on the field, all of us together. It should be a fun time.
Pre-game ambient.
So
ambient noise.
Yes. So we will be back tomorrow for another live. Actually, we might not be back tomorrow for another live stream. We'll have to find out.
Yeah.
TBD about tomorrow's live stream. We may have some other responsibilities. But we will definitely be with you guys on Sunday. So before and after the game, on the field. What about that? That's pretty cool. On the field, me and Pete Doherty before the game. You can join us. We're usually live 90 minutes before kickoff. So if you haven't joined us before, we have a fun time. We enjoy interacting with you guys. We'll take your questions, preview the game. Should be a good one. Make sure you're following us over on social media as well. Check out PackersNews.com for all your coverage. I think those are all of my shameless plugs for the day. I will let you guys go.